does that look like? What is the work that you're doing in the Navy as a civil?
Sure. There's basically three kind of areas that a Navy Civil Engineer Corps works in. Either you're working in public works, so there's 70 installations across the globe, right? 70 Navy installations, and each one of these are basically a city, right? So you basically have a public works department, just like you would in a city, and you work in that public works department. Either managing projects, infrastructure planning, utilities, everything that you possibly have to do in a city, you do on a base. And sometimes you do this in locations that are outside the U.S., right? So it's a little more complicated even sometimes. And then the kind of second area is on the contract management side, where you are basically a government contracting officer. So you get some authority to award contracts, negotiate contracts for the government up to a certain threshold. And then the third area is like the expeditionary side, which is more your traditional military. When you think military, you're in a battalion, a construction battalion. So you may have heard of the Seabees. The Seabees, famous, I always point people to World War II, go watch the John Wayne movie, the Fighting Seabees, the famous movie that's probably folks these days have never heard of, but quite entertaining. The Seabees were kind of the people, kind of the force that led the island hopping campaign across the Pacific during World War II, building all the airfields, ports, all those kind of things that were necessary to fight that war. So you'll be put in a CV battalion. You'll be in charge of a platoon, or a whole company of troops. CV battalion is like 600 CVs. As an officer, you're in charge of a section of enlisted folks, and you go do construction projects. Sometimes, I was in Africa building schools and clinics. During peacetime, we do a lot of humanitarian type work. During war, in Afghanistan, I didn't go to Afghanistan, but a lot of friends that did. We did a lot of, base building, basically, like going to the middle of nowhere and establishing a forward operating base, holding security, building barriers, those kind of things, kind of expeditionary type work.